Thank you very much for joining today for a webinar on how to protect your AWS infrastructure from DDoS attacks. So my name is Mathieu. I am in charge of sales at Trackit, and also we have the pleasure of being in collaboration with our partner, Amazon Web Services. So we'll be diving into the capabilities of Advanced Shield in the second part of the webinar. And we'll be sharing a real-world example on how it has been used to protect infrastructure just like yours. We are honored to have two awesome speakers with us today, Piotrek from AWS and Victor, our solutions architect at Trackit. And they'll be guiding you through the presentation today. Feel free to ask them any question at the end. And the session has been recorded, and we'll send you a link of the recorded video at the end of the webinar. And feel free to ask any question at the end. We'll have a specific time to answer it. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to Piotrek.
Thank you, Mathieu. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, all good.
Great. Welcome, everyone. I appreciate you joining today to learn more how to protect your AWS infrastructure and to learn more about our service, AWS Shield Advanced. My name is Piotrek Witkowski, and I'm an associate specialist SA working with edge services on AWS. During today's session, we will walk you through the following agenda. So we'll talk, firstly, we'll start with what are the DDoS attacks and how AWS can help you protect against them with AWS Shield. We'll then talk benefits of AWS Shield Advanced and how it integrates with other AWS services. Then you'll also hear from Victor more about real world examples. And if you have any questions, you can post them in the chat. We'll have a small Q&A session at the end of this webinar. So without further ado, we'll recap a bit about DDoS. And the distributed denial of service attacks try to exhaust your infrastructure or application resources so it won't be available to your customers, to your users. And distributed means that the attack sources there are multiple attack sources, or the attack is distributed. Usually it's done with a botnet to increase the effectiveness of the attack. And in this case, then the legitimate users may not be able to access the service, to reach the service, and effectively will experience this denial of service. Hence the name. And this slide now illustrates the two primary categories of DDoS attacks. Infrastructure layer attacks aim to overwhelm network infrastructure, making it inaccessible for legitimate users. Examples include, for example, amplification, reflection attacks, or exploitation of the TCP handshake process to tie up server resources. And on the other hand, we have also application layer attacks that target web servers and applications directly, often by exploiting vulnerabilities or sending HTTP floods with well-formed but excessive HTTP requests, leading also to decreased availability. And preventing DDoS attacks is crucial for maintaining, of course, the reliability of online presence of your services that are delivered over the internet, protecting business from financial loss, and finally ensuring that users have uninterrupted access to critical sources of your business. And now that we saw this short introduction, let's shift to how AWS is designed to protect you and your AWS workloads from being affected by DDoS attacks. Some forms of DDoS mitigation are included automatically with AWS services. DDoS resilience can be improved further by using AWS architecture with specific services that we will be talking about today, and by implementing additional best practices that we'll cover. You can use AWS services that operate from edge locations, such as Amazon CloudFront, AWS Global Accelerator, and Amazon Route 53, our DNS service, to build comprehensive availability protection against all known infrastructure layer attacks. And these services are part of the AWS Global Edge Network and can improve the DDoS resilience of your application when serving any type of application traffic from edge locations distributed around the world. We have over 600 cloud points of presence in over 50 countries and 100 cities. We have also AWS regions. You can design your applications to be multi-region or span multiple availability zones within these regions. And when you run AWS managed services and you automatically use these services also to protect application availability and optimize the performance of your application for legitimate users. Also, AWS protects its infrastructure and customers against DDoS attacks thanks to 3 components. First would be the detection system based on different signal sources, for example, from AWS network devices and AWS service logs. We have automatic mitigation based on scrubbing technology that AWS developed internally to handle our scale and growth of the cloud infrastructure AWS operates. And the last part would be the Shield response team that is engaged when the attack is not detected or mitigated automatically. The team will take manual actions to stop the attack and then improve our systems to detect such attacks automatically in the future. This protection is available under the name of AWS Shield for any AWS service exposed to the internet, and it's also provided at no additional cost for customers, for you. You can learn more about how AWS Shield detects events in our developer guide, and this presentation will also include some hints or references to the documentation like this on the slides. And in order to understand how AWS Shield protects against layer 3 and layer 4 attacks, so on the network and transport layer, we need to know where the mitigation infrastructure is located, because there are 2 ways how AWS Shield is deployed. So firstly, at edge locations, AWS Amazon CloudFront and Route 53 services continuously inspect the traffic with AWS Shield mitigation infrastructure. And mitigation at edge brings a bit more features like packet validation and sync proxy. And its distributed nature, the fact that it's being applied at these hundreds of locations, simplifies capacity distribution to absorb large and very large DDoS attacks. There's also the second way we deploy Shield at the border network. And this is for resources that are located in AWS regions, such as Elastic Load Balancing or Elastic IP, and resources located at the border, like AWS Global Accelerator. The mitigation happens at the border network by routing incoming traffic to Shield mitigation infrastructure and forward only clean traffic to the region. Detection and mitigation is also applied at resource level, meaning Shield will take the capacity of your underlying infrastructure into consideration when mitigating these attacks. But that's, of course, not all, and not the core of what we want to discuss today. If we recall now the DDoS types, or the infrastructure layer attacks, but also application layer attacks. So we'll now talk what we can do about the latter with AWS Shield Advanced. Yeah, so let's see how this opt-in offering is different from the built-in protection of Shield standard. And firstly, thanks to AWS Shield, when you build your application on AWS, you receive automatic protection against common volumetric DDoS attack like UDP reflection, SYN floods, without any predefined limits. It's automatic protection available for all AWS customers in all AWS accounts. It's the same technology protecting AWS managed services and your workloads. And it's leveraging also the scale, like we saw, of AWS global infrastructure. And AWS Shield Advanced now is another service, in a sense. It's a managed service that helps you protect applications against external threats on the application layer. So it's targeted towards your specific applications, your workloads that you want to protect with Shield Advanced. That when you apply Shield and add protection via the console or with the APIs. And unlike the standard tier, AWS Shield Advanced is opt-in paid service with 12 months commitment. The rest of my presentation today will cover basics around application layer DDoS, as well as AWS Shield Advanced capabilities that are designed to protect against this type of attacks. So AWS Shield Advanced works together with AWS WAF, Web Application Firewall, to detect and mitigate DDoS attacks at the application layer. For protection at scale, you can also use AWS Firewall Manager to create AWS Shield Advanced policies that automatically protect resources upon creation and remediate resources that are not protected. And AWS WAF and Firewall Manager are provided for free for AWS Shield Advanced subscribers when you add the resource to be protected with Shield Advanced. And you can protect CloudFront distributions, Route 53 hosted zones, a global accelerators, application load balancer. Also with the Elastic IPs, you have an option to protect other AWS resources not specified here behind the Elastic IP addresses, for example, like network load balancers. And also AWS Shield Advanced subscription includes these following capabilities and options that are not available for Shield Standard customers or with Shield Standard only. Firstly, it would be the enhanced layer 3 and layer 4 protection, a bit more sensitive. For layer 7, it expands to layer 7. And for that protection, it uses AWS WAF, web ACLs, rule groups that are known on AWS WAF. It integrates with WAF. Shield can deploy rules in case of an attack. It could be configured to respond automatically to mitigate application layer attacks. And either create rules on WAF in block mode or also in count mode to see, for example, to test the rules, or if you're just configuring the service and learning about the service. You can also get access to advanced real-time metrics, reports that provide you visibility and alerting. It offers CloudWatch metrics, 15 different metrics that we'll cover a bit later, both on the infrastructure layer and application layer. You can associate Route 53 health check with your protected resource to enable health check based detection for improved accuracy and responsiveness of Shield in case of an attack. Because we are protecting availability of applications, you can define, for example, latency thresholds or status codes that are considered to be successful from your application. And Shield Advanced will take this into consideration when detecting attacks and engaging Shield response team. Shield response team is the next piece here, and it's 24/7 team at AWS for assistance during DDoS attacks. For example, they can help with very distributed layer 7 attacks, identify the access pattern, and then write WAF rules to mitigate it. If the auto mitigation, there's the auto mitigation feature that we talked before, but also Shield support, Shield response team has visibility and access to these rules, and during the attack, you can engage with them to learn more about the protections and mitigations that were applied to your account. And finally, Shield Advanced offers some cost protection against spikes in your AWS usage that may be a result of a DDoS attack. And we will also talk later a bit how that works. So when you protect resources with Shield Advanced and associate an AWS WAF web ACL with your protection to enable web application layer detection, Shield Advanced consumes request data for the associated web ACLs and builds a traffic baseline for your application. And significant deviations from this baseline are flagged as DDoS attacks. Regarding the visibility and dashboards, you get visibility both into infrastructure layer attacks as well as application layer attacks. And there's a number of metrics, including, for example, the source IPs, the protocol, the ASNs on the infrastructure layer, and on the application layer, it's, for example, requests over time, user agents, referrers, so more HTTP specific properties. You can create health checks on Route 53, also create calculated health checks that take multiple health checks into account and are healthy only if all of them are healthy. So for example, you could use the error rate of your CloudFront distribution, Amazon CloudFront distribution, and your content delivery, or the response time from the load balancer, and use this information for more accurate detection of the attacks. And with the proactive engagement that I mentioned earlier, you get access, 24/7 access to the Shield response team. Shield response team, in case of a detected DDoS event and unhealthy health checks, will contact you directly if you provide contact details in the Shield console, and will inform you about an ongoing attack and steps that were already applied as part of the auto mitigation. You can also, once you activate the subscription, cut a ticket to the Shield response team through AWS support and work on a support case that is related to the DDoS attacks. And regarding cost protections, in case of a usage spike, so for example, based on the data transfer spike or usage spike of your EC2 instance, you may be eligible for AWS credits. And the ways to request credits are also described in our documentation. To sum up, I have listed some best practices when working with Shield Advanced. So we recommend to protect any internet-facing AWS resources. Of course, the protections must be enabled before an attack. Also, it is connected to how we calculate the baselines. So AWS Shield Advanced needs to know what the good traffic looks like, or what's the expected traffic. For that, on AWS WAF, we recommend creating rate-based rules. Optionally, also to use Amazon IP reputation lists. And we recommend to enable proactive engagements, automatic layer 7 DDoS mitigation. So all the great features that AWS Shield Advanced offers. And also to use CloudWatch and the DDoS related metrics to monitor the DDoS related activity. And now,
yeah, Piotrek, I'm just cutting you. Sorry, because I think we the mistake when we set up the thing. It's the first time we do it like this, so it seems like we are on a not premium version of Zoom, so the meeting is gonna cut. So why don't we all jump to this Google Meet that we sent via chat, and we continue the webinar. I'm so sorry for this technical mistake.
Of course.
Great. All right.